Merhaba. In this lesson, we'll start to learn the adverbial clauses. Basically, these are when clauses. There are a number of them in Turkish, and they combine two sentences based on time. Two successive actions, for instance. I do this first and that afterwards. They don't take any tense or personal markers. You'll see this in a second. A verb with the suffix is interpreted in the same tense as the verb of the main sentence. You'll also see this in a second. So let's get to it. We will talk about IncA. This is the first adverbial suffix you'll learn. So this is IncA. It is one of the most frequently used ones. So it's added to the verbs, verb stems, and it gives the meaning of when, okay? So, for instance, when you come home, we'll have dinner. So, so in this sentence, you'll see there are actually two sentences. You will come home, we'll have dinner, and they're combined with when. Right? Okay, so this is what we are doing. You'll be able to say this kind of sentences in Turkish. So let's start with adding IncA to verb stems. Bitmek, bitince. Almak, alınca. Olmak, olunca. And so let's see them in sentences. Ders bitecek. Ders bitince. Ali araba aldı. Ali araba alınca. Saat 5. Saat 5 olunca. So you see, once we add the adverbial suffix, inca, they are not full sentences anymore. They need one more sentence to give the full meaning, to complete meaning. In this, in this adverbial clause, we don't have the person, we don't have the time, right? Bitince doesn't have the subject or the time on it, right? So whatever comes after is going to give the time and the personal information. And finally, in the last sentence, as you saw, saat 5 became saat 5 olunca, because it is a to-be form of sentence, right? It doesn't have a verb. In this case, we need to add olunca, olmak to the sentence, which becomes olunca, as unca is attached to it. And it's the same thing happens when we have var yok existential sentences or the negative D, for instance. Let me give you a few examples. Benim bir kitabım var. Benim bir kitabım olunca. Biz evde değiliz. Biz evde olmayınca. So olmak becomes negative in this case. Sen hastasın. Sen hasta olunca. Okay? All right. Important note. The subject of IncA clause may or may not be the same as the subject of the main sentence or the main clause. So, for instance, Ali telefon edince sana söylerim. I'll tell you when Ali calls. So you see, Ali telefon edince in the first IncA clause, the subject of it is Ali. But in the second one, ben sana söylerim, the subject is ben. Right? Okay. Second note, when IncA is used with kadar, it gives the meaning of until or up to that moment, right? So here's an example. Derslerini bitirinceye kadar evden çıkmadı. He hasn't left home until he finished his homework. Tren kalkıncaya kadar bekledik. We waited until the train departed. All right, so this is your first adverbial, IncA. We'll learn a few more. Ama şimdi lütfen dersin alıştırmalarını yapın. Derste görüşürüz. Kolay gelsin.